to the official week 1 of the Keto Powerlifting Prep. So last week was the TE week and that went well. Now we're on to week 1. So this week there's a 4-day training split, so 1 extra day, and it will consist of a leg day, a chest day, a back day and a shoulder day. So we've identified a few focus points for this week, and as far as the weight goes, the weight will be dropping down to around 65% of the max and the volume will be increased. So the reason that the weight's dropping this week is we really need to focus on some of the technical aspects of each lift. So there's no point trying to do that when you're working at a high weight. So we've dropped the weight down. So let's just go into that a little bit more. So the squats. The main focus points from last week were the breathing, bracing and setup. So it was noted that my breathing and bracing wasn't quite right. It's a little bit hard for me to get used to because I've always done continuous reps, whereas with this powerlifting training, it's more like individual reps. So this week especially we have a 7 rep set, but it's kind of like 7 individual reps with a breathing and bracing component in between each rep. The other main thing that was noted last week in the TE week was that under the heavier load, my knees were caving in slightly, and this was affecting hip stability, which was also affecting my depth. So what we need to implement this week is to try and drive the thighs out, which will help the knees track better over the toes. This will also help the hip stability and should help me get a little bit deeper in my squat, which is something that needs to be addressed. So I'm looking forward to trying to implement these things. Now onto the bench press. Once again, the setup, breathing and bracing was a component that needs work as far as the bench press goes. And this week we're going to focus on driving the feet back as far as we can, driving the heels down. This in turn will help keep the knees lower than the hips, which will create that back arch, which also helps drive the scaps back and get the shoulders into a better pressing position. So by implementing these things, we should be able to have a better final outcome as far as safety for the shoulders and also as far as the movement is concerned. So quite a lot to take on board for the bench press, but once again, we'll see how that goes. Then for the deadlift, the main concern from last week was the back positioning. It was noted that my back isn't as neutral as it should be. So to try and rectify that, we're going to implement some hip hinging, neutral spine type exercises, just to help make me aware of where that neutral spine should be, and hopefully then I can carry that over to the deadlift. So it is quite a bit to take on board. So as far as those focuses go, I'm going to try and implement everything I can. It's going to take a fair bit of doing, considering I've been lifting in a different way for quite some time. But like I've said, I mean, I have an expert in the field coaching me, and I'm going to be a blank canvas and try and take on everything I can, because I really want to improve my lifts, and as far as improving the technical side, that's going to lead to hopefully stronger lifts, but also going to minimise the chance of injury. So like last week, I'll try and get a lot of footage and then talk through the things that I implement, and then we'll come back later on in the week for a recap. So let me get to work. So this was the final working set of the squats, and as you can see here, the breathing and bracing has improved and it's not too bad. As far as the depth of the squats, it's something that I have to continue to work on, but I was also putting a major focus on trying to push the thighs out and keeping those knees from caving in, and I was somewhat successful at that. Another exercise we implemented was the goblet squat. Now this is a great exercise for getting that extra depth, and once again trying to push the knees out, but I'm very happy with this exercise. As far as the rest of the workout goes, it was a bunch of accessory exercises, and although this was only a 65% weight, it was still quite a solid workout. So as you can see here, I'm trying to get my feet back and then to drive the heels down. So the technique has changed, but I'm not sure if it's where it needs to be, so it'll be interesting to see what the feedback is on this one. Also with this one, my breathing and bracing isn't quite right. This was actually starting to get a little bit heavy, and I noticed that my breathing isn't where it needs to be. So that's something that I need to continue to work on. Now once again, the close grip bench press, I've got that feet back, and as I push my heels down, it actually elevates the hips. And as I work into this set, because it's a lot more comfortable weight, that breathing and bracing and technique has actually come good. So it'll be interesting to see what the feedback is, but I think it's something that I need to continue to work on. As far as the rest of the exercises went, once again, it was a lower weight but a relatively high volume day, and I'm happy with the workout, and I'm definitely getting some new stimulation. So the first time implementing these neutral spine hip hinging type exercises, and by the looks of it, it went quite well, but once again, it'll be interesting to see what the coach's feedback is. So onto the main lift, 142 kilos. Grip is always an issue, but at this weight it was quite manageable today. And as you can see, the spine is getting a little bit more neutral, so hopefully we're on the right track there. And as far as the breathing and bracing, it seems like I'm starting to get the hang of that as well. So once again, it'll be interesting to see what the coach's feedback is. And as far as the rest of the workout went, it was actually quite high volume and a bunch of exercises. So great workout. So as far as the fourth workout of this week, it was a shoulders, chest and arms workout, and the heavy part was a RPE 8 of military press, and then that was followed up by a bunch of accessory exercises. Now this isn't specifically a powerlifting move, but it is great to hit the shoulders and chest from another angle to just try and increase that bench press later on. So like I say, it was a great workout, and I'm looking forward to the new stimulation. Welcome back. So week one has been wrapped up, and as far as the training intensity, the volume and the workload go, it was a significant increase on the previous TE week. But in saying that, I did enjoy the workouts and they were somewhat successful. I did misjudge a few weights on the accessory exercises, so that's something that I'll have to work on for next week. However, as far as the focus points that I was trying to implement, the feedback from the coach has been somewhat positive. I mean, I've implemented some of these strategies to a good extent, and as all coaches do, he's encouraged me to continue working on these focus points, but he's also brought other focus points to my attention that I need to think about for next week. Now, I won't go into too much detail about those here. I'll leave that for the next video, but it is something that I need to continually think about. Now, just to touch on misjudging some of those accessory weight exercises. Mainly, it was the walking lunges, and I picked a weight that was probably a little bit ambitious, and since that, my quads have been sore for 6 days. But anytime you change your workouts or change your volume or intensity, there is a chance that you will get some muscle soreness. And because I had a few lighter weeks leading into this powerlifting prep, then this new stimulus has definitely generated some soreness. Now, once again, just to touch on nutrition, this week I've been eating instinctive keto carnivore again. I've more so gravitated towards 2 meals a day. But in saying that, towards the end of the week I was travelling, so I was snacking a little bit on beef jerky and salami and things like that. I managed to get some lamb's liver into the diet this week, which is always great as a nutrient boost. And I also had a few alcoholic beverages once again for social events. So my nutrition isn't perfect, but at this stage we're still not too concerned about that. But it is something that will be coming under scrutiny in the coming weeks. So that's pretty much a wrap up of week one of the keto powerlifting prep. So I look forward to the week training ahead, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.